Shit. This one right here. This was when they had sent me to Northridge Hospital. It's like a fucking lockdown, uh, like a mental facility for juveniles and shit. So I did space. All right, I'm 15, sophomore year. I did school and shit. My brother was up. Backtrack a little. My brother was up at Grossmont College, playing football and shit. Ended up dropping out, so he came back home. So now he just there at the house and shit. He ain't doing nothing really. So I did school, meet with two of the homies and shit. Go back to the house. We chilling, smoking and shit. Chilling in my room, smoking. This nigga just comes, fucking. Cause I never had a door in my room. Cause every time I would get my door in my room, this nigga would break that shit off. That's how we be fighting and shit. So this nigga would just kick my door right off the hinges, like, boom. So I used to have like an army blanket up and shit. So he opens up the blanket. He goes, "Hey, give me some weed, or I'm gonna call mom and tell mom you did school and you're over here smoking with your friends." Mind you, it's me and the two homies right here. So I'm like, nigga, first of all, I ain't gonna let you embarrass me like that in front of the homies. Second of all, I don't like how you just asked me and shit, or you didn't even ask me. You just telling me some shit. Like, nigga, if you could have came in the blunt. Third of all, it ain't even my trees. It's the homie trees and shit. So when I'm like, yo, just give my brother some trees. Nah, nigga, I ain't buy a sack. My nigga sells trees. Nigga, we was like, let's go. He said he gonna smoke, so I was like, fuck it, let's roll to my house. Nigga, there's ways you can ask about some shit. So anyway, I just turned on, I'm like, man, fuck you. He's like, all right. Go back in his room and shit. Come back like a minute later, he's like, yeah, I called mom, she's on her way home. I'm like, nigga, he's a buster. You a super hoe cake for that one. Like, nigga, you a super hoe ass motherfucker. Like, nigga, you supposed to be my older brother. Nigga, you the reason why I smoke weed. So anyway, he did that. I'm talking shit. Like, nigga, he's a bitch. Da 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 da. He like, man, don't get smart in front of your friends about to kick your ass. Like, he ain't gonna kick shit. He's like, yeah, all right. I'm like, what's cracking? So motherfucking on me, it's on. Like, nigga, you say you gonna kick my ass, nigga, kick it. Ain't gonna be the first time. I grew up getting my ass kicked. So that shit ain't nothing. Like, that's how a nigga learn how to fight. So I fire. Bing, I'm firing. Boom. So we fighting from my room all the way through the hallway. And the two homies like, and the homie still tell me to this day, he was like, man, you remember we was at your house when we was kids and you and your brother was fighting? He was like, man, that was like two big rhinoceroses fighting. He was like, this two big elephants is fucking breaking up everything. We broke everything in the house. So fucking, we fighting from my room down the hallway, and these niggas tripping out. They trying to grab their backpacks and shit and leave. But I'm in the mix. I'm in the mix, like, nigga. So we in the living room and shit fight. So we going all the way around the living room and shit, into the dining room, back into the living room, over the couch and shit. I pick him up. This was the fucked up shit. When my grandma had passed away, and all my mom had was a coffee table from my grandma and shit, a piece of furniture. That's all she had left of her. At the time, I picked this nigga up and slammed him through that shit, and all four legs just went boom. But I was in survival mode. I wasn't even thinking about because he way bigger than me. My older brother, he way bigger than me. And the first thing he be doing, he be trying to grab me. And then once he grabs me and shit, I can't move because he's stronger than me. So it's like I gotta keep my distance and just keep my distance on his ass and shit. But when he get close, all right, I ain't weak. And you know what I mean? So I picked him up at the time, slammed that nigga head first through the motherfucking, did one of these through the coffee table. Boom! Got on him. I think that might have been the time too. I had an aluminum bat. It was like damn near broke. And I swung the bat at him and shit, and he ducked back. And it hit the TV, and I swung so hard, the bat snapped in half. And it left like this jagged ass fucking, like some half spear type of shit. And I just remember going, poof. And he turned like this and was like, God, and grabbed that shit. Like, you wrestling over that. I'm like, I can't let this nigga get it. So fucking, he ended up getting it. He throw that shit. Like, nigga. The homies by this time, they like, nigga, we out of here. They take off and shit. We squabbling up, still, like, that used to last. And what he would do is, he would rip the phone cords out the wall and lock the door and shit. So I couldn't leave, so I had to stay there and fight his ass. And really just trying to not get my ass whooped too bad. Like, but, so anyways, the neighbors end up calling the police and shit. Neighbors end up knocking on the door like, what's going on? Like, you gotta stop, you gotta move. Because the window was open and shit, they heard. Fucking, they called the police. They're like, we calling the police. That nigga got dressed real quick, ran out. No, my mom came home. That's what happened. The neighbor said that, but never called the police. Then my mom came home. They might have called the police. I think my mom called the police. Somebody did, either neighbors or my mom. So anyways, my mom gets home like about 10, 15 minutes later and shit. And right behind her, the police come. So I know somebody called him because the police came. He was gone. I was there still like shit. Fucking, they cuffed me up, put me on the fucking, on the couch, and started talking shit. And I just remember telling the white dude, it was an older white dude and like a Mexican lady. I think she became sergeant and arrested me later on too, but he ended up getting my ear. He was like, man, I'm not your mom. Show me some fucking respect and da-da-da. And at this time, I didn't even say nothing to him. I turned and I looked at him and I said, man, I didn't cuss at you, man. I said, man, have some respect in my mom's house and shit, man. I was like, I didn't even go there with you. And he looked at me and he goes, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry. He was like, my bad, I'm sorry. I was like, damn, homie, you can't. So anyway, they came to agreement like, nigga, you wanna go to the halls or do you wanna go to this hospital shit? The hospital shit at Northridge is like it's one floor. It's a lockdown facility and shit. You can't get out without like a passcode, like a, what do you call it, a badge and shit. Fucking, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll go to the hospital. That ain't the hall shit. So when I get there, get up, they run through the whole process of shit downstairs, taking me upstairs and shit. And that shit was like low-key sweet. It was sweet. It was like 4 beds in a room, a bathroom, a shower, but it was like a big old hospital room with 4 beds. Fucking it was co-ed and shit, so the girls they slept in one room. Fucking, then the other younger motherfuckers slept in they shit. It was me. It was a nigga from Pasadena. He was like a year older than me. And then there was a crazy white boy that came in. He brought some weed in and shit. So anyway, at the hospital, all the motherfuckers there were all them kids there were there for trying to kill themselves, for committing suicide, for attempted suicide and shit. All the girls had scars all up and down their wrist. like cut marks all up and down their wrist and shit. I was like, what the fuck? I was the only one there for smoking weed, and they was all there for trying to commit suicide. So I tripped out on that shit too. But they was all big time drug addicts. They tripped me out because it was like 14, 15, 16 years old. But they was all like long time, like for a year, 3 years doing like meth and ecstasy and acid and every drug you can think of and shit. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just here for smoking weed. Like, like what the fuck? I don't know. I tripped out on that shit. So we would have like morning counseling and shit like that, afternoon counseling, night counseling. Went to school there. They had a little room and shit. And for the meals, that shit tripped me out because so anywhere I'm at, I'm gonna work the system. I'm gonna work the ass. So fucking, they would give you a menu, and you would circle what you wanted for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the morning, and then or at nighttime the night before some shit. And then if you wrote times two, they would give you double portions. So me, I would get like chicken fingers, bacon, and I would put like times six to see what they would do. And they would come with a whole pot, a whole pot of chicken fingers and fries, like yo, two different plates. Everybody would be like, yo, how did you do that shit, man? Like yo, I just put times six, times 10, times eight. Like nigga, well, 8 pieces of bacon. So then fucking, I remember when a white boy had brought some weed in, cause they didn't search him too well and shit. Cause it wasn't like that. It was like some rich shit, some rich people shit. So I was only there for like a week because my insurance didn't cover me like that. But anyways, I remember we had them little juices. So we tore the little foil off the juice top. I would save that shit. Then I would roll that shit up and then bend it and make like a little pipe out of that shit, right? So at nighttime and shit, we would go in there and fucking hit a lighter too. We go in the shower, turn the hot water on, hit the pipe, the little weed and shit, get a wet like washcloth, uh, and then blow the smoke into the drain, and then cover that shit up with the washcloth. And we used to sit there and he had like a good eighth and shit, couple grams. So we would sit there and smoke that shit for like a few days and shit. Nighttime, we just sit there and faded. Like, yeah. I remember the black dude. He was even there from killing himself. He was from Pasadena. My bad, killing himself. How was he there for trying to kill himself? He said he had took a whole bottle of Tylenol. I'm like, man, how did you feel? He was like, man, I kept getting higher and higher and higher. He said they rushed him to the hospital and gave him that little piece of charcoal. He threw everything up. So he tripping. There was one girl, they had some shit called the booty juice. They would shoot you in a shot, with a shot in the ass, and that shit would knock you out for like a day or two. There was one girl, she was like 14, 15. She didn't say nothing. She would just sit there like this. Her name was Emily. A white girl and shit. She had these old ass parents, like in their 60s or 70s. Like, what the fuck? Like, are you adopted or are you your grandparent? Like, what the hell? But she wouldn't say shit. She wouldn't smile or nothing. She'd be so doped up. Anyways, I was only there for like a week and then got out. They was like, yo, your insurance ain't covered. You ordering too much food.